Gosh, as far as where this came from, this seems a lot more personal than your other work. This seems very, I mean, you've always been a part of your other films, but where did this story come from? Is there any catharsis in making this type of film?
Oh, absolutely. This film's my own personal experience of trying to get my dad out of depression. And it took us, my family and I, about 8 years to figure it out. And so after we kind of miraculously was able to get him to take some pills and find the right combination, and he was well again, I really felt like I wanted to make a story about it, because I feel like the best stories, especially with indie film, are ones that are personal, ones that like you have a stake in, and ones that you've experienced. And so this certainly was something that I wanted, not only was personal to me, but I wanted to share with other people, because I felt like it's an issue that people kind of don't deal with, or especially in the Asian American community, it's not really considered, depression isn't really considered a disease. You know, it's kind of considered an emotion that, you know, just walk it off, you'll be fine. You know, he'll be happy in a little while, you know. And so I wanted to address that issue, as well as just make a personal family dramedy that I felt would be entertaining.
With your background in comedy, and so many comedians have been in your film, the moments of little humor that's touched upon, I think that audiences can gather even in such a dramatic story. How much fun is it to be able to straddle that line? Because I think you do it really well.
Well, thank you so much. It's difficult, and I think, you know, I actually have written for sitcom television for a few years, and I enjoyed that, but I felt that a lot of it was just kind of over the top, or not wanting to deal with real issues when they had an opportunity to. I think it's a little different now with streaming services having more nuanced kind of comedies, but for this film I really wanted to do something real first, and have comedy come out of the reality, as opposed to finding something that was funny and then building around it. So for me, it was really key for me to like just create conversations, create situations that were really real, or ones that happened to me before, or happened to people I know, and create the story around that, and then let the comedy come out organically. So that was part of it in the writing process. The other part was also my actors were really amazing. I gave them license to do, you know, what they felt was right for the character during shoots. At times it created conflict with me and the actors, but it was worth it, because I'd say probably a quarter to a third of the things that come out of their mouths that came out in improv, or came out of what they were feeling at the time, stayed in the film and made it a better film. And so they really wanted to see something that was real too, and oftentimes we'd have discussions about, okay, this is funny, but is it something that's real, or something that I feel natural doing? And so there was definitely a concern about that. I think making things funny is easy, making it feel real is the difficult part, and requires collaboration and a good eye and objectiveness to it that hopefully that we brought to the film.
Let's talk more about this cast. It's a hell of a cast.
Oh, thank you.
Especially the dad, someone we have known for many years in the Asian American community as a stalwart actor. I thought his performance was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
How did you feel about seeing him portray, obviously, something so close to you, and also the rest of your amazing cast?
Oh, thank you. Well, Dana Lee is a really amazing actor who's been in this business for years. Being Asian American aside, he's just, to have longevity as an actor of any race for as long as he has and still be working is, you know, a testament to his ability and his also his kind of hardworking nature. So it was really a joy when he was the first person we cast, actually, because we knew people that knew him, and when we started thinking about who to play the dad, he was top 2, top 3 on the list, and I knew people that knew him, and I asked him to send the script, and he called me right afterwards and said, I want to do this, and I was just so grateful. And so I think what helped was that he also knows people who were depressed in the same way that my dad was, and so he was able to understand what it's like to be with a depression like that, and how they act, and how they are kind of almost like a soulless person when you try try to talk to them, that they were just a little dead inside, but still living and still respond to certain things in certain ways. But for the most part, hard to have a conversation with and hard to get to do things. I think he portrayed that really well. And he also understood the dichotomy of who the person was before depression and who the person is after. And so we did all the scenes of the depressed dad in the beginning of the shoot and all the scenes when he wasn't depressed after the shoot. And that also helped him, for his mind to like be in that mode of being depressed for a while and then getting out of that mode and being the kind of asshole dad who was, full force, overbearing afterwards, and get to shave and clean up and everything. And hopefully that seeing that difference between him being depressed and not being depressed will have an effect on the audience.
You've already screened here, and you've screened. I'm curious. Audience reactions, not necessarily here, but just people who've seen this film. Mm-hmm. What are some of their reactions? Because I do think. I know when I watched it, I was by myself, but I wanted to ask you a million questions afterwards because I was like, whoa, this hit me in places I didn't expect. Yeah. How have the audience's reactions been for you?
It's been really strong. I feel grateful, and I think the main thing I wanted to make sure was, or I wanted to do, is just make sure people felt for the characters and wanted to like them enough. The characters are all flawed, but I wanted them to like them enough they wanted to join them on the journey and root for them and see where it goes. And for the most part, that's what everyone said, is that, especially Ali Maki, our lead actress who plays Margaret, it was very important for me to cast that role, and take my time doing it, because I think Alexander Payne said that sometimes directing is 90% casting. In this case, the cast is so important to make this film work because it's a dialogue-heavy film that I could do, as a director, I could do anything. I could do all sorts of special effects or flashy cinematography or whatever. The film won't work unless the actors are good enough to be able to do comedy and dramedy and reel the audience in. And so I think what I overwhelmingly heard from people is that they loved Ali Maki. They loved the brothers. They loved their interaction. They felt so real, and they were also funny and sharp. And that's what brought them to the film and got them to get invested to the point that at the end they were laughing and crying. And to be able to do that with any audience member, no matter what they're laughing or crying at, is really what I'm in the business of making films for. And so I've been grateful that overwhelming majority of people have been affected in some way about the film, whether it's about the depression part, or it's about the relationship with the father and daughter, or the relationship between the brothers and the sister. There's always some different part that people attach to that got them into it.
As a younger brother, I had sympathies towards the little brother, but I totally love the struggle between the three of them. It was wonderful. It felt
great.
So real.
Thank you.
What has your family thought of the film?
They haven't seen it yet.
Shocking.
Yeah. I know. I think my last film, Find Me, had a couple of elderly parents in there, and my mom was immediately like, "Is that me? If that's me, I'm really upset." And I'm like, "No, it's not you. It was kind of her, but not totally her." So I wanted to wait until I actually finished the film and put them in with an audience to see it before really let them see it. So they haven't seen it yet. But I'm sure when they do, I will have some reactions and opinions for sure from any member of my family.
I'm curious, how much have you changed as a writer, director, actor because of this experience?
I think every film I do, I learn so much, and I grow as a person, and as a filmmaker, and as an actor, seeing other people do what they're doing. In this case, watching these actors go at it in their own different ways, watching the chemistry, watching the questions they ask me, and watching how they react to the dialogue has taught me so much about other ways to do things, and other ways to work with actors and get them to go where I need them to go. And and also allow them to open up and find their journey with the characters. And we had such a diverse cast, not just ethnically, but also the way they go about acting, that it was just great to see different ways of doing things. And that has helped me as a director to find other ways to like inspire people or motivate people to go where they want to go with the character. As a person, I think, anytime you're able to make an indie film, raising the money, getting the producers together, getting the team together to make the film, it's definitely a character growth thing. What's more difficult will make you stronger, and there were definitely a lot of challenges in making the film and getting it done. And so I just feel like I'm better prepared for my next film to do something even better, and also prepared to take this film places. Hopefully, that's a step more than my other films.
Is it too early to ask have you already got your next idea, at least?
Yeah, actually, I have a few. I have a script that I want to shoot in Taiwan about a kid, a college graduate who happens to be Asian American. His dad gets murdered, and he goes back to Taiwan for the funeral and finds out that his dad was a mob boss there, and learns things about his dad he never knew about. So that's one that I'm going to try to be pushing after this. And also, my last film, Find Me, was such a success that I'm finishing a script for the sequel that I plan to do and take it to other national parks. The first film was so popular, wildly popular, because of the people's love for outdoors and the national parks we visited. We're going to look at different national parks and bring a whole new cast of characters to explore and discover them. And so I want to explore kind of the issue of actual diversity in the outdoors. So that's a whole different thing I want to go into. So those two are my main objects right now to do for the next film.
Very cool, and thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. Gosh, I can't wait.
Good.
I loved Alfonso. Tom, thank you for bringing this to the festival.
Sure.
And thanks for the chat. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and thanks for, as a filmmaker, always love rambling on about my film, so thank you for asking me questions.